All right, I'm going to call the Justice Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Schaefer, second by Member Bell. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, we do have an appearance by a member of the public, Ed Sheeman from is it National Weather Service? Yep. Okay. Ed Sheeman from the National Weather Service is here to present something in recognition of the Emergency Management Agency. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Recent events in the nation, Los Angeles, all of California getting hammered by floods, Buffalo with 6 feet of snow. You're not storm proof, but you're ready. You're ready to take action to make a difference for the public when things start to go wrong. Natural disasters obviously don't discriminate between social, economic, and political boundaries. There's about 10,000 severe thunderstorms every year in the United States, 5,000 floods, and 1,200 tornadoes across the United States. So tornadoes, obviously, we have a preliminary report of a tornado possibly already touching down in central Illinois. Not in McLean County.
They're not allowed.
Logan County, it looked like it might be right far southeast corner of Logan, but disasters are everywhere. I mean, you don't know when the next big one's going to happen. And having a county that's fully functional in the way that Kathy and her team have put together is really commendable. Counties prepare to implement proper infrastructure and effectively respond to disasters. That's why the Weather Service put together the Storm Ready program. And part of that started when the Parsons plant got hit back in 2004. That was kind of an impetus to get the Storm Ready program going, because the plans that they had in place were something they wanted to mimic and replicate throughout the country. So Central Illinois kind of was a founding source for the Storm Ready program. There's 5 main requirements that you need to be storm ready. You have to have a 24-hour warning point with various means of communication redundancy there. Several ways to receive and disseminate that information across your county. And you need technology to monitor the weather across your area, and community preparedness campaigns, training of the people across your county, as well as a formal hazardous weather operating plan, which theirs is outstanding. The McLean County EMA has met and in most cases exceeded all the requirements there. The citizens of McLean County should know that their communities are prepared to minimize the impact of natural hazards before, during, and after the event. But it does not end there. Each citizen must monitor hazardous weather conditions on the road and heed the warnings, take action. I mean, we can issue warnings all day long, but if the public and surrounding community areas don't take action with that information, then we kind of have a broken link in the chain. But I think we've got a really good program in place, and trust is a key element there. Knowing that you can trust the information that's being given to you, not only from the Weather Service, but from the EMA community is important. So, Storm Ready program is in its 24th year of existence, totally, but it's continuing to expand across the country. State of Illinois, the McLean County is the 35th out of 102 counties that are storm ready, and the 151st storm ready designation across the state. So it's my privilege to declare McLean County, Illinois, National Weather Service Storm Ready County. Welcome to the Storm Ready family. And this is the sign?
We have to figure out where
And
it's
then-
gonna go.
Yeah, and then you can order more. There's some information on here for
Great,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. It's really an impressive program Kathy and her team have, so.
Good thing I go to the gym.
Yes, congratulations. So, all right, next item on the agenda is item 4A, Molly Molly Evans, Children's Advocacy Center Director. You know, sometimes I just read these as they're walking, so maybe I'll wait till they sit. Maybe more. 4A, 1A, we have an item for action. Request approval of a grant agreement between the State of Illinois, Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, and McLean County Administration. And can I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by Member Roseman Mendoza and a second by Member Schaefer. Any questions? Ms. Evans, would you like to say anything about it first?
This is a continuation grant, the Victims of Crime grant. It's our largest grant for our CASA program. It helps fund personnel and fringe for 4 of our CASA staff. So it's continued for another year.
Does any member have any questions?
Is this,
Spell.
hi, how are you doing? Good to
I'm
see
good.
you again.
Good to see you.
Happy New Year.
You too.
The staff increase, is it made of mostly women or minorities, or what is the makeup? I noticed last time I was at your establishment that there was no Hispanic or Black presence in your staff.
I believe, Ms. Bell, that you met our Children's Advocacy Center staff. This grant is for our CASA program, which is a separate program. This is not adding any additional staff. This is a continuation grant funding the existing staff that we have in the CASA program.
Does any other member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll be voting on item 4A, 1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is item 4A, 1-2. It's an item for information, monthly statistics. Ms. Evans, would you like to say anything about those?
I don't have anything further to add, but happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does any member have any questions? Member Tompkins.
Yes, ma'am. Do you think that you have adequate staffing to get by and serve the public to the best of your abilities? Or are you shorthanded, would you say, or are you overstaffed? Could you maybe fill in a little? I'm a newer member.
Sure.
And I've tried to study the packet, but would you say you're shorthanded or over?
Over the last year, we expanded our programming on the Children's Advocacy Center side of things, where we're now providing prevention-based services in the schools. With that, though, we had to do some shift within our funding. We're primarily grant funded. So I would definitely say we're not overstaffed. We hope to continue to grow and to continue to serve not only the child victims and their families that come through our doors, but also the prevention programming. So we work vigorously throughout the year, not only to maintain our existing grants that we've had relationships with for long periods of time, but also seeking out new grants in order to hire additional staff. So my hope is that we will land a couple more grants this year and be able to bring on new staff for our programs.
Does any other member have any questions? Anything else you'd like to say?
I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 4B, Will Scanlon Circuit Court. We have no items for action, but we do have some items for information. Mr. Scanlon?
I apologize. The committee, wasn't able to get them submitted on a timely basis due to a vacation last week and the storm the week before, so it kind of threw a wrench in this. But I want to invite the committee members to the Circuit Court's Family Treatment Court kickoff event, which will be held on Wednesday, January 18th at 12 noon in the Jury Assembly Room, room 503 of the Law and Justice Center. Family Treatment Court is a court designed to provide assistance and counseling services, substance abuse treatment, and family treatment for persons who are involved in the juvenile abuse and neglect court. We are exploring a mentor court partnership with a court in Indiana. This will be one of the first family treatment courts in the state of Illinois. And so we are reaching out to Grant County, Indiana, which is just north of Indianapolis, to assist us in our planning process. Planning process is going to start with this kickoff meeting and run through the end of September, where we hope to have an implementation grant. So that is on the 18th, January 18th, Wednesday at 12 noon over in the 5th floor of the Law and Justice Center. I also want to make the committee aware that we will be, the Circuit Court will be applying for a technology grant from the Administrative Office, Illinois Courts. We'll be coming with that grant information at the February meeting. It's upgrade some courtroom technology, including some recording, and we're going to enhance some of the recording capabilities to take advantage of a recent rule change by the Supreme Court that allows expansion of virtual hearings in a wider variety of cases. So we're hoping to enhance some of the recording capabilities in the courtroom in order to do so. So those are the two items. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions? Member Schaefer?
Please refresh my memory. On the family treatment court planning, is that Judge Foley is the lead on that?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Scanlon. All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C, Matt Lane, McLean County Sheriff. We have two items for action. The first item is item 4C1A, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement by and between the County of McLean, the McLean County Sheriff, and the Bloomington Normal Airport Authority. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Abraham, a second by Member Bell. Matt, would you like to discuss that?
This is an agreement with a little bit different terms than before, but it's been a standard agreement with us and the Airport Authority. We have 2 full-time deputies there to assist them. They're required to have some law enforcement there. We help them meet those requirements.
Does any member have any questions? Member Bell.
Yes, good to talk with you, Sheriff. Are we on still a high threat level to have that many police officers out at the airport? What is our threat level?
It's not based on the threat level. It's based upon TSA standards, and the airport pays us to employ those deputies. They pay for the salary of those deputies. So they're paying the bill for the people they're getting.
Okay, is this a rotating shift? Is it 2 officers or at the same time, or is it from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5? Can you kind of tell me what's the makeup of that?
It varies right now. Mostly it's Monday through Friday. We have in the negotiations for this contract, we added some possible Sundays, just because it depends on when their departures are heavy. That's when those 2 deputies work. The 2 deputies that are out there have been out there for quite some time. They have a good relationship with the Airport Authority, and they will adjust their schedule to meet the needs of the airport. So we have one deputy that's out there. I believe it's 4:30 in the morning is when he starts, because that's to prepare for the outgoing departures in the morning. And then there's one that comes in noon, I believe, maybe 10 a.m. And so there's a little bit of overlap there between the 2 deputies, but it depends on when the departures are that we're working. Sometimes they will adjust earlier or later to accommodate the Airport Authority. But they basically work 8-hour days.
Okay, the last question I have, are you still using K-9 out at the airport?
To my knowledge, no, we have not had any canine out there.
Does any member have any other questions? All right, seeing none, we're going to be voting on item 4C1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C1B, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Bloomington and the County of McLean regulating the use by the County of McLean of the police shooting range facility of the City of Bloomington. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Tompkins, second by Member Schaefer. Sheriff Lane, would you like to discuss that?
This is a yearly contract that we have with the Bloomington Police Department. We don't have our own range at this point, and there's few options for ranges. So this is, Bloomington, the dates, the 25 days that they give us is a minimum. That's a minimum of what we get. They have been gracious enough if we need more time. Sometimes it's spur of the moment to get people out there.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we will be voting on item 4C1B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is an item for information, the Sheriff's Monthly Statistical Report. Sheriff Lane, would you like to say anything about that?
I don't have anything, sir, unless somebody has any questions.
Does any member have any questions? Member Schaefer.
I'll probably ask this every month. How many are waiting for,
For DOC?
no, not for DOC, but for McFarland?
I do have that information. I'll take that back. I have DOC. I do not have DHS, ma'am, but I will get that information to you. Well, hold on, just 1 minute. Well, I would have to add this up. I can get you an answer here shortly. It'll take me a few minutes to highlight the ones that are currently here. I have a list of ones that were here and how long they were here. Some of them have left and some of them have not. There are some that have waited 170 days, 187 days to get transferred to DHS custody. But I'd be more than happy to answer that. It's just going to take me a few minutes to decipher.
I'd like to know that too, so could you send it to you, I guess, or who do you want to send it to? Send it to the committee through you, or how do you want to do that?
I can get that information to you by tomorrow
Okay,
and get it sent out to everybody.
Yes, and then
on
we
the
can
committee.
send that out to the
send
committee.
it out to the committee. All right,
I do have, I also have some statewide numbers that I just received late last week
okay.
on DHS.
Would you include all that if you would, please, and anything else you'd like to add? Or-
No, sir, it is a challenge. It's a challenge for the corrections staff every day that those folks are here, and the more unstable they are, the more likely they are to pick up another charge while they're in our custody, and that's not why they're there. But we can't let batteries and injuries to corrections officers go unanswered either. So it puts everybody in a jam.
Thank you. Does any member have any other questions? Member Tompkins?
Recruiting and retention efforts, I may make this one of my monthly questions like Ms. Schaefer has. Has there been any new hires? Is there any people coming into the funnel, staffing at the jail? Is there any movement there?
Actually, sir, we've lost more than we've gained in the last few weeks, last month. I think at this point, we're getting close to 19 people down, if not more. It's becoming quite the challenge. I have a meeting in the morning with my commanders to discuss strategy from this point forward and recruiting. We do have some things in the works for recruiting. We don't have all the answers, but we do have some ideas in the works. So.
Well, I'm sure you're an outstanding sheriff that we have the honor to work for. What do you think the number one reason was for 19? Oh, that's a 19. That's a squad and a half down. Is there anything we could do as a county board to maybe help this recruiting effort at all?
Well, right now it's kind of a vicious cycle. We're short-staffed, which means long hours. Long hours means less time at home, means more pressure from your family. More pressure from your family means you look for somewhere else. And so the goal is to get staffing up enough so these corrections officers and the staff there can work an 8-hour day and go home to their family like what was intended. It's not always going to work out rosy, but it should be much less hours than what they're working right now. So we're working towards that goal, and we just discussed it today. We have a meeting set up tomorrow. It's not going unanswered. It's just not a quick process. It's a longer process to get people hired. So, yes, sir.
Any other member have any questions? All right, thank you, Sheriff Lane. All right, next item on the agenda is item 4D, Kathy Yoder, McLean County Coroner. We have, wow, we have no items for action. We do have our monthly report. Kathy, what would you like to say about that?
Thanks. It was user error. I have nothing to add.
Does any member have any questions? Anything else you'd like to add? Oh, Member Tompkins?
Ms. Coroner, I noticed you had a deputy coroner position that's been unanswered for some time. Is there anything this committee or the county board could do to make that position more?
That's just a part-time,
Okay.
excuse me, a part-time position that I've kind of left open just to see.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but no, I've been filling that. Yeah, so I'm good. I have great staff, so I'm fine.
Any other questions? Anything you'd like to add on that?
No,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 4E, Ron Lewis, Public Defender. We have 2 items for action. Can I combine those, or can I combine them? What I gotta do, what's the process to combine them? All right, I'd like to combine items 4E1A and 4E1B. Do I have any objection to combining those? All right, seeing none, we're going to combine items 4E1A and 4E1B. First item here is 4E1A, request approval of a contract between Michael E. Malin, Special Public Defender, and the Public Defender's Office. And 4E1B, request approval of a contract between, I believe that's Rachel, but Raquel, Rachel Moore Perry, Special Public Defender, and the Public Defender's Office. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Roseman Mendoza, second by Member Abraham. Mr. Lewis, would you like to discuss that?
These are identical to the contracts we had up last month for some contract attorneys. Few attorneys did not renew their contract. It took me another month or so to find some replacements, and that's why these are trailing from last month. These are just the same contracts.
Does any member have any questions? Member Bell.
Yes, the caseloads that these public defenders have is pretty large. Is that some of the reasons why they left or chose not to renew their contracts?
Some of it, these contract people also have a private practice, and they're maybe finding that some of the value of the contract versus the time that they're putting into it doesn't fit their business model as well as it used to. And that's why some of it is. Some of them are finding other contracts elsewhere.
Any other questions? All right, we'll be voting on item 4E1A and 4E1B. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is an item for information. It's the Public Defender's Caseload Report. Mr. Lewis, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Nothing to add. Open for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Member Tompkins?
Is your flow fine? Is there any bottlenecks? Are there any bottlenecks or flow system procedural thing? Are you short attorneys? Are you getting along good?
We are short at least 3 attorneys right now that we're trying to fill, but everything else is a lot of variables going on right now. The change in the record keeping that Mr. Scanlon's mentioned several times, changing the numbers, and it makes us hard to compare apples to oranges last year. There are some shifting of the court assignments that are going on right now, so it is a busy time right now. Some of those things fade over time, but the variables, we're very busy, but we're managing.
Is there anything we as a committee or the county board can do to help you fill any of those attorney vacancies?
Well, I think one of the things that just happened was the compensation review that took place for the county. Just got the results of that and are spreading it around, so hopefully that helps our retention. Some people chose not to wait around for the money, and they're already for the money results from that, and they left without even waiting for that.
Does any member have any other questions? All right, saying that, anything else you'd like to add at this point?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4F, the Mike Donovan, Court Services Director. We have no items for action. We do have an item for information, item 4F2, the statistics. Mr. Donovan, would you like to discuss those?
No, I don't have anything about the statistics. They remain about the same. Our amount of people we're getting on probation is about consistent, as it always has been.
Does any member have any questions? Anything else you'd like to add? Anything?
Since I wasn't asked, we are down 5 officers with 2 more resignations coming this month. I'm losing another one to State Farm and 1 to federal probation. So we'll have 7 vacancies within a couple weeks. So
I have a question about that.
Member Schaefer.
So you just said 5, we said 1 to State Farm and 1 to Feds, but the other 3, did they go to the state? With the state changes?
No, we've only lost 1 person to the Office of Statewide Pretrial, and he wanted to move back home anyway, so he went south. We've lost nobody to that office. We've had 2 recently moved to Colorado. They were new officers, and 1 went to the diocese over in Peoria to work for the church, and I can't remember what the other one. There's been such a revolving door, I kind of lose track.
So we're not really worried that the state's going to take ours before we end up doing anything? Or
I don't know what they're doing now with everything, so we're not, with the whole, with Safety Acts freeze and everything else, I don't know where they're going, so I don't know if that'll impact us or not.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Don Everhart, McLean County Circuit Clerk. We have no items for action. We do have the clerk's monthly statistical reports. Don, would you like to say anything about them?
I have nothing to add, but be glad to answer any questions, though.
Would you like a question about staffing and understaffing and overstaffing? I'm sure you'd like to answer one.
Well, that's fine. I'm currently still down six. I'm down six. Two of those, unfortunately, one was through a death of one of our long-term employees. It's very sad. Another one was actually job abandonment because her previous employer offered her more money. So I'm sitting at 6 at this point, but I'm actively recruiting. I will say this, that this pay increase, earlier prior to the pay increase, I lost several good staff, really good staff members. And due to this pay increase, 2 of those have come back to the office, which I greatly appreciate.
Does any member have any questions of the circuit clerk? All right, seeing none. Anything else, Don?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought I'd ask that question for you, Jeff, because it's a good question to ask the circuit clerk. That's the type of guy I am. Next item on the agenda is item 4H. Erica Reynolds, McLean County State's Attorney. We have no items for action. We do have the caseload and forfeiture fund reports. State's Attorney Reynolds, would you like to say anything about that?
I don't have anything to add in that regard.
Does any member have any questions? Member Tompkins.
Staffing, are you down? Is everything flowing well? Is there anything we can do as a committee or county board to help you fill any slots?
As far as support staff goes, we are officially 3 down at this point. We've had some movement over the last week. Our support staff are really good about chipping in, helping out, moving resources, dividing tasks. I think that we are going to be able to manage this. We have a possible candidate in mind to fill one of those positions. We think at that point we will see how it goes. With the Safety Act lawsuit being stayed, it changes the analysis of what our workload is going to look like ultimately. And so we are going to try to manage with what we've got, with the possibility of hiring one additional person. As far as attorneys go, we are officially 2 down. We have somebody that is set to start after he takes the bar as a 711. A 711 is a license that allows them to practice with the supervision of an attorney, even though they're not officially an attorney and haven't officially been sworn in. That person is set to start in March. He's committed to us at this point. So I have somebody for that particular position, and then we are down 1 other person. We right now are suffering issues with people being out for personal reasons for extended periods, and so we are taking that in stride. As far as anything that you guys can do, I think the work that was done by administration and by the county board on the salary study and addressing the disparity between this county and other neighboring counties was helpful. I don't know that there's anything at this point that you guys can do. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what that looks like moving forward now that we have that ammunition for recruiting. But it is a little bit difficult because law school admission is down Law school graduation is down, bar passage rates are down. The test has gotten more difficult across the country, and our state in this central area is the only state that did not lower their standards to accommodate that difficulty level. So there are people that are failing in Illinois but are utilizing those scores that they received in Illinois to go practice in Missouri and Indiana and the like. So that is a difficulty that we have been presented with, that we are trying to address, but as always, we will handle it. We are handling it.
Does any member have any other questions?
If I may comment,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to commend our state's attorney for her very reasoned, measured comments in the local media regarding the Safety Act. I know that can be an impassioned issue, and lately your comments that are in statewide press, you're kind of a leader in that area, and I just think it reflects very favorably on McLean County.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, anything else you'd like to add? I know I wanted to ask you some questions, but you said you were already going to address it, so if you would, please.
Yes, just an update on the Safety Act. Prior to this, I was prohibited from speaking publicly about the lawsuit that we had filed against the governor, the senator, the Speaker of the House, and the Attorney General over the Safety Act. But that case has been resolved on its merits at this point. The trial court found in our favor Wednesday night at 9:30. The order was issued. On Friday, as a result of that order coming out and circulating through all the counties, there were several counties that filed emergency, for lay people's term, like an emergency motion requesting that the Safety Act not go into effect within those counties, because those counties were concerned about the impact that that lawsuit would have on them. Unless you were a party to that lawsuit, the Safety Act would go into effect. And so there were some counties that were able to get that motion heard and granted by their local jurisdictions. I think it was based on that in conjunction with the findings of the trial court in Kankakee County, which we were a member of. The Supreme Court on Saturday issued an order indicating that they were staying the implementation of the Safety Act across the state so that you wouldn't have counties, or in some cases cities, that were operating under different rules depending on what jurisdiction they were in. So the Supreme Court issued that order and will essentially stay the implementation of the Safety Act, the pretrial fairness portions of it, until we can be heard on the merits. Both sides have requested a expedited briefing schedule. We have requested to be in front of them in March. It will be up to the Supreme Court what they do with that. So we don't know exactly when we're going to be heard, but both sides, understanding the importance of this, have asked for it to be expedited in front of the court. So I can give you specifics on the merits if you want them. I don't want to bore people.
And McLean County is part of that appeal, or with the state, right? With the state Supreme Court?
Yeah, so we were joined with over 60 other counties with Kankakee County. There was a litigation team that was in charge of arguing that on our behalf, but those were all consolidated so that you didn't have essentially the defendants running around the state trying to defend these all in separate counties. So that was consolidated for a judicial reasons, essentially, in Kankakee County, because they were the first county to file that lawsuit. I believe it was in October is when they filed, and then we came shortly thereafter, maybe September when they filed, and we came shortly thereafter. So we are a part of that appeal, and that's why as of 9:30 last Wednesday, the Safety Act was not going to go into effect for us.
Member Schaefer?
So it's the entire act or just the one portion of the act?
There are portion, or the ruling was not as direct as the attorneys would like it to be, which is not typical. And that happens sometimes. We believe that it certainly impacts the pretrial fairness portions, which is the hot button issue that you hear about, in the media. So the questions about bail are certainly impacted by this.
But when the Supreme Court issued the stay, it's for the entire act, not just that portion of it?
We believe that it impacts, like I said, the pretrial fairness aspects of those and not necessarily, but there's questions, I guess, in some attorneys' minds whether or not that impacts the issue, for example, of body cam requirement on police agencies that have not yet fulfilled that requirement, which I believe the state police were the last on the list to fulfill that requirement and were to do so in the future based on the timeline set out.
It's clear as mud.
That's
Anybody-
consistent with our experience as well.
Any other questions? Member Bell?
I had a conversation with the sheriff, our last meeting, and there are some things about the Safety Act I don't like myself. But to lock someone up because they were speeding and they wait in jail because they cannot post bail, they're not a criminal. They just got caught speeding. So what I'm trying to get to is that this affects so many black and brown people that are poor, that have to get up the next day, even though they've done something wrong. They have to get up to make the money to afford to be able to get out of jail. In that time frame, they lose their job, so they can't pay. So we need to iron out some of the things in it, and by March, I'm hoping that the Supreme Court will do their job, but just minor infractions should not have someone in jail for 180 days waiting for a trial. So I am going to stay focused on this. This is important to me, that we get people back out working and making an income just because they've had a little infraction with the law, okay? This is personal to me.
Does any other member have any questions? Member Schaefer?
I guess maybe I just kind of want to respond to Member Bell a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that something like 85% of the individuals that get booked into the jail are released pretty quickly from information that I have from CJCC. So I'm just kind of, in McLean County at least, I believe that we're doing a pretty good job on doing that and keep getting people back out into their jobs so that they don't have that issue. And so I just wanted to make that comment.
Yeah, I would invite any member, if they really wanted to dig into the numbers with me, I certainly could make those available. Our office, in conjunction with the Public Defender's Office and the Judiciary, have really made an effort over the last several years to eliminate nonviolent offenders from the jail in a quick manner. And most, not all, but most Class 3, Class 4s, and any misdemeanor offense is not sitting in jail longer than necessary to see a jail or a judge. In some instances, they're not even brought into the jail. We have tried to make an effort to only keep in violent offenders or those who are putting other people at risk. I don't think there's anybody, including myself, that want to see somebody sitting in jail simply because they can't afford to post bond. I'm not aware of anybody that's been arrested on a misdemeanor speeding ticket and held. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because certainly it's within the law to do so, but it's not the efforts that we've made, not only just because of the fundamental fairness of that in some circumstances, but also because the taxpayer is paying for these people to be in the jail, and if they're not a risk to the community or they're not a flight risk, there's no reason for us to have them there. So even within the drug unit, the leader within our drug unit has made a big effort in order to eliminate the number of drug offenders that are in the jail, and so we're holding the serious, most serious offenders, and not those that simply possess a substance. Our effort has been to get those people into some type of rehabilitation route as opposed to holding them, in the jail. somebody, if they want to take something to trial, can only be in our jail up to 120 days. That's whether they're held for murder or a misdemeanor offense. So if they assert their right to a speedy trial, we have to try them within 120 days. Which can obviously be a long time for anybody that's sitting in the jail. But there has been a serious effort. I can't speak to the specific percentages because I haven't looked at them recently, but I know that a vast majority of the people are spending, a night in the jail to see the judge and are released. And that is the policy that we have implemented here. And I think the statistics locally in comparison to some of the surrounding areas speak for themselves.
Anybody else? We can't solve this issue here. I mean, I just wanted to get the state's attorney's perspective on what's going on and just to kind of inform the committee about what's going on with the lawsuit and where it stands and where it's going. So just wanted to say that. Do you have anything else you want to say?
I would invite any member, I'm not just within this committee, but any board member, if they want to sit down and talk specifics with me regarding the factors in the lawsuit and the legal arguments that were made, some of which were made on behalf of defendants who are going to be negatively impacted as a result of this bill. And I can sit down and hammer out specifics for anybody who is curious. And thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is item 4I1A, Cassie Taylor, County Administrator. Item 4I1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2022 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the general fund. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Schaefer, second by member Roseman Mendoza. Cassie, would you like to say anything about that?
Sure. This is a end-of-year cleanup EA ordinance. This is not unusual for this time of year. You will probably see several more as the months go on, as we clean up our books prior to our external audit.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll be voting on item 4I1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have no items for information. Item 5, other business and communication. Do you want to tell us what that is and give us an exit? I suppose it's our dates, our meeting dates, right, for this year?
Right. So in your other business, under 5A, we have listed there for you the 2023 meeting dates. We will draw to your attention that on Monday, July 3rd, we will be meeting that Monday so that we can all enjoy the fireworks of Independence Day on the 4th. That would be the only change from your regular schedule for the year. The only other business and communication that we want to cover is the Justice Tour. And I believe you have notes on that.
Yeah, I have. Even said Mike and forget. I did that on purpose, just for the record. January 30th. Now, we don't have to do this. I'm just trying to get a consensus, all right? I'd like to see if people would like to do this, okay? Mike has been working hard talking to the various department heads and departments to see when we could get this done. And she has January 31st and February 1st listed on here. She has a circuit clerk. These are approximate times. 30 minutes, circuit court, 20 minutes, sheriff's office, 45 minutes, coroner's office, 30 minutes, public defender's office, 20 to 30 minutes, state's attorney's office, 30 minutes, court services, 30 minutes, emergency management agency, 20 minutes. What's CAL?
CAC.
CAC, 1 hour, and Children's Advocacy Center, and Metcom, 30 minutes. And so the guess was going to be it could take about 6 hours, okay? So probably a whole day. Is that right?
All day.
Is anybody, I'm still interested in doing it. I'd like to see if people are still interested in doing it. Does anybody have a preferred day? Any thoughts, any questions, any comments? Member Schaefer.
So are you asking if we want to devote a full whole day? Or do you, or are we, when you said the two different dates, maybe part on one day and part on the other day?
We could do it that way. You know, to me, I prefer to do it in one day. Just get it over with, because that's just the way I am. But I mean,
So you're
but-
gonna feed us lunch afterwards, right? Nasty now.
Me feed any, no. But, you know, I mean, I'd like to do it in one day. Does anybody else have a preference?
We have
Miss-
people that work or go to school, and I think that would be a
Well, I
very
work
big
too.
challenge. Well, yeah, I know. But there are individuals on the committee that can't devote a whole day. That's
I
why
know.
I asked about breaking it up into 2 different days, maybe later in the afternoon.
That's what I'm trying to find out. Go ahead.
Honestly, as understaffed as we are, finding a substitute for my position right now is very, very difficult. So I would rather jam it all in one day, have that one day designated so I don't miss multiple sessions of school. It's harder to find a substitute.
It's my preference to do one day. Does any, Member Tompkins, your preference to do one day? Member Abraham, one day? One day? All right, well, it's going to be one day then. And we do the February 1st or January 31st? Does that work? I know you're looking at your calendar. Does that work?
Either should work, because the only thing I have on those days are committee meetings.
Okay.
You have finance committee.
I'm sorry, Member Abraham? February 1st, and what was the other date? January 31st. Either one?
I prefer Tuesday, but that's okay. I'll just have to leave in the middle of it for a little while, that's all. If something else.
I'm gonna flip a coin. January, are you saying January 31st?
That would work better for me, but if everybody else would rather have the 1st, that's fine too.
Everybody want to do the 1st? Is that what they want to do? They want to do the 31st? First. All right, I have finance on the 31st, right? That's a Wednesday? And I- No?
First is Wednesday, that's fine.
No, I wouldn't have that, would I?
It wouldn't be till the
Yeah.
following week because it would be the first full week. So it
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
I'd
right,
be
never
okay.
mind, we changed that, yeah.
So no committee on the first.
All right, we're doing the 1st then.
All right,
All right, so I'll have, Mike will get more information to you. I think we should all give Mike, thank her for all the work she's done to put this together. Hours she's put in, which. We're calling it Mike's Tours now, all right? So, I mean, if you want to get in on that, that's it. Any, Member Schaefer, did you want to say? I see you got your mic on. I don't know if you wanted
I'm
to say
sorry.
something. All right, February 1st, we'll do the tours. All right, we have recommended payment of bills and transfers. Why don't I do the transfer first? We got a do I, you want me to do the bills, do them together?
That would be awesome.
All right, because Mike says we should do them together, we're gonna do them together. I got bills in the amount of $403,865.30 and a transfer of $824.71. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Roseman Mendoza, second by Member Abraham. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.